Welcome back, Dynasty DNA Strand Crew, to Season 2 of the roster audits. Today, I'm joined here by TJ Blake. As always, what's going on, TJ?
Not much, Wizz. How are things up there in the frozen tundra? Oh, wait a minute. I think that's us. You said you haven't been getting a lot of snow. We have in western Pennsylvania. You know, it isn't right. You live in a crummy place like Alaska up there. You should be the one getting the snow, not me. I'm very upset about that. But, you know, as always, I'll soldier on and continue. And we're burning the midnight oil tonight. You know, we're doing these roster reviews. It's 1:54 in the morning here. So everyone know that we care about the Discord. We care about the people in the Discord. That's what this is all about. So if you guys want to get your roster reviewed, or if you like stuff like this, if you like fantasy football, dynasty fantasy football, and even football in general, you got to join the Dynasty DNA Discord channel. It's the most happening up-and-coming Discord channel out there right now, guys. If you want to join, all you have to do is go to the link in the description of this video. You can click on it, join for free, then maybe you could get your roster reviewed by me and Wiz. Or if you just want to go over there and talk some trades, meet some friends, and talk football in general, we'd love to have you. It's over 500 members now, Wiz. Before you know it, we'll be up to the big 1,000. It's coming, and it's been a ride in there, man. It's been great. But back at it, episode 2, season 2 of the roster reviews. Who are we doing today?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing The Guy DB, a.k.a. Dak Brewer, longtime listener of the show. Good guy, always active in the Discord. And this is going to be roster audit number 2 for him. We did one for him last year, and he ended up winning the championship. So I guess we are smart after all, TJ. Who would have thunk?
Well, you know, it's nice whenever a plan comes to fruition and it all works out. But my Lord, Wiz, look at all those Discord tabs you have over there on the left. But you know what I love? You got that beautiful Dynasty DNA logo right in the middle. So I like that. But, you know, you could put it in the middle, maybe at the top, but we'll talk about that later. But I'm going to tell you what, Dak, he wants to go the contending route with this team. Am I right, Wiz?
Yeah, absolutely. And the information provided on the Discord under the roster review tab didn't make playoffs last year, but had the 4th max points for, which, brother, I've been there. I'm sure TJ's been there. We all been there at some point. I had the 2nd most points scored in a league, and I did not make the playoffs somehow.
Yep, I've been there many times, man, and it's the most frustrating thing ever. I hate that. But I'll tell you right now, Dak, this is a solid roster overall. Wiz, let's pull up his roster. Let's talk about it. He's going to go the contending route here. And again, I think you're making the right decision where you're at. I know you said in your description there, your roster review, that you had your 26 first that you traded and you can't get it back from the guy. Well, let's not sweat that right now, because honestly, I'm not so worried about that. Yeah, draft capital's nice, but to me, it could be one of the most overrated things in Dynasty, without a doubt. But let's look into his roster here, and we're going to start at the top here in a second once Wiz gets up there, and it's going to start with the quarterbacks. And I have it pulled up right here as well. We have Drake May and we have Jordan Love as far as his starting quarterbacks go. And this is Superflex tight end premium, right, Wiz?
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
Superflex tight end premium.
So Superflex tight end premium. He's got Drake May and Jordan Love. And I'll say this, Dak, in all honesty, man, I like that setup. I think it's solid as hell. And Drake May is somebody that I believe in. And I still believe in Jordan Love. This was Jordan Love's sophomore season. I know he's been in the league a while, but as far as him starting, last year was his first time starting as a full-time starter. So, I mean, he's going to bounce back. I have faith in Green Bay. It's a good organization. They're going to bring in pieces to help him and help this offense continue to grow. Drake May, I think, man, has a sneaky chance to be one of the best quarterbacks in Dynasty next year. I mean, the Patriots have over $125 million available in cap space. They have a top 5, top 4 draft pick right now. And things are looking up in New England, and they hire Mike Vrabel, Wiz, and you know just as well as I do, you want structure. You want your team to be going down the right road. Bringing in a guy like Mike Vrabel will help a guy like Drake May, keep him safe and, try to not make him do more than he has to do. And sometimes with Drake May, I think he can struggle with that. But, man, last year the proof was in the pudding. I think ever since he took over the reins as a starter, he was a quarterback 1 through the season with that horrid roster. So he has the capability. So I like the quarterbacks. Wiz, let's hop into the running back room. how do you like Dak's running back room? I'll let you evaluate it and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, Brees Hall, I mean, he was a big disappointment last year for a lot of people, myself included. I had a bunch of Brees Hall. Coming off as a running back 2 performance overall 2 years ago, and then pointing up the pumpkin that he put up there. I still think he's a good buy low, especially right now in Dynasty. I mean, everyone's kind of pushed him down, and I think we could see a resurgence of Brees Hall this season. Hopefully, James Cook, solid guy right there. I mean, I think the Dynasty community's been too low on him for a while, myself included. I was a big James Cook fan. It just always seems like Buffalo wants to replace him, but then they give him all the touches during the season, so it doesn't really matter. Chuba Hubbard, a guy that would have been a great buy low last season. Jonathan Brooks came in there, which we really liked the talent that he provided and showed on film. However, tearing his ACL again, it's not a good sign, and especially so late in the season, he's not going to be even able to come back till week 8, maybe 9, 10, push it out. It depends how bad it was. I don't know how bad it was, to be honest with you. And then Rico Dowdle, I mean, he had a great season this past year for what you were paid for him in startup drafts, or what you were paying for him in whatever to get him on your team, right? A couple thirds, 2/3, a third. Nick Chubb, tragic. He was probably one of the best pure running backs of this generation-ish, I guess, of like the last 5 years at least. But I mean, overall, Dak, I think running back room's solid overall. Definitely has a lot of upside there. I think you could use a little bit more depth there, depending on what the Cowboys do. I think Dwell still might have a role. Nick Chubb, hopefully he comes back from the injury. I mean, we said this last year, and hopefully he does come back. I like watching Nick Chubb, even though I'm a Ravens fan. I mean, TJ's a Steelers fan. I guarantee he would tell you the same thing. Nick Chubb's just a phenomenal player to watch. He's a gifted talent.
Absolutely. Phenomenal player, phenomenal person. I like the way he approaches his game for sure. He's probably the best pure running back in the league, in my opinion, until he got hurt. He was definitely up there. But yeah, I love the running back room as well, Wiz. And I love what you said. Like, it's a very good room, but when you're trying to contend, you can never have enough running backs. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, it's a body bag position. I mean, you got to have guys to fill in there. I mean, God forbid you lose 2 of them guys, and then you're really scraping at the bottom of the barrel again. And it can happen. And then like Brees Hall's case, like I think Brees Hall's one of the best buy lows in Dynasty at running back. Travis Etienne, Brees Hall, these guys have put up running back 1 seasons in the past. They have a ton of ability. They've had a couple off years, and people want to discount them. I take advantage of those discounts. I love to go to the thrift store. I go to the running back thrift store and don't have any worries about Brees Hall as far as that goes, Dak. I think you're well positioned with him. I think you're going to have a bounce-back year with him. Aaron Glenn, the new head coach, with the Jets coming from the Lions. We know they like to run the ball and play defense in Detroit. I don't think that's going to change much as far as his philosophy goes. So I like Brees Hall. But let's hop on down to the wide receiver room, and I'll bring this up. And Wiz and I were concurring before the show while we were putting these trades together, Dak, and looking at your roster. This is the most crucial thing to me as far as what you need to put this team over the top. If you want to be a true blue contender, I think we need to add another big-time wide receiver to this wide receiver room. If I'm looking at the puzzle as far as a championship puzzle as this team goes, we're missing the wide receiver piece. That's the piece we have to complete the puzzle the most, to me. If I'm sitting there, it's just unfinished. But I do love A.J. Brown. Solid guy. Does he stay in Philly? There's rumors maybe he moves on. Doesn't really matter to me. A.J. Brown can play anywhere. He's an alpha wide receiver. Just throw it up to him. Bigger, stronger, faster. Love that. But we need someone to pair with him. Rashee Rice would have been a great guy. But coming off that injury, we know the suspension's looming, so that makes that very, very tough. How soon does he get back next year? I mean, I guarantee he's going to miss probably at least 4 to 6 games based off the injury alone. And then you have that suspension looming. So that ain't really going to help you much next year either. I love the player. I love the talent. Wiz can attest to this. When he come out as a rookie, I was super high on Rashee Rice. So was Andy, everybody at Dynasty DNA. We loved Rashee Rice, and he took off and flourished in that Kansas City offense. But as a contender, he really doesn't do us much good, unfortunately. But we'll see about maybe making a trade or two with him. We have talks with him involved in some of our deals. Jaden Reed. Having Jordan Love, I think it's nice to have Jaden Reed. Ty said it best on an episode of Dynasty DNA. If you like Debo Samuel, if you like the way he plays, and you'll like Jaden Reed because it's very similar. It's either boom or bust. And I know he pissed a lot of people off, including me, in the playoffs and a couple rosters. I mean, he put up his normal bust game, and then, 3 games later, he'd probably have another boom game. But I think that's a solid depth piece you need to have. Ricky Pearsall, first-round wide receiver last year from the San Francisco 49ers. I like Ricky Pearsall, but the bad thing is we know the 49ers re-signed Brandon Ayuk. I know Ayuk's coming off the injury, but he's there for the longer term. They also have Deebo Samuel. That's a name to watch. Does he get cut from the 49ers, traded? I mean, that's possible. If not, Ricky Pearsall ain't going to do much to help us this year either because he's still going to be playing third, fourth, fifth fiddle in an offense that's loaded with offensive talent. And I'm not knocking Ricky Pearsall. I like the tape. I think he's a good player. But as a contending team, it makes it tough whenever he's not getting the ball or getting the touches. But the last guy I want to bring up, well, I guess there's 2 or 3 more, but I'm going to touch on him real briefly. Tank Dell, terrible injury. He's going to be tough to sell. Tank Dell sell. I mean, look, I put it all together with Tank Dell sell. We're going to talk about that. Hopefully we can get him off a roster too. Kind of an overachiever as a rookie, and it would have been nice to cash out at the right time. Devontae Adams finished as a wide receiver 1 last year. I think Wizz said wide receiver 12 overall. Had monster games towards the end of the season, into the playoffs. A nice contending piece to have. Calvin Ridley, solid depth guy. Okay, so maybe we'll include him in a couple trades. But that's going to do it for the wide receivers. Wizz, what does he have at tight end?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably his cream of the crop here, of at least like upper echelon of talent. Trey McBride coming off a tight end 2 overall performance this past season. He put doubters. He was like, "This is the truth," and he shoved it in everyone's face, including mine. I was a Debbie Downer on Trey McBride, and I paid the price. Sam Laporte, I mean, he came off formed really well in his rookie season. Jameson Williams kind of, him propelling his play really hurt Laporta in a lot of different ways. Maybe we have Laporta and Trey, maybe not. Stay tuned, Dak. Isaiah Likely, future tight end 1 in Baltimore. Mark Andrews is going to be out on the curb here. And whenever the June 1st cuts come down, I'm just kidding. No, Mark Andrews is going to be fine here in Baltimore. But Isaiah Likely, I love him as a talent prospect overall. I mean, he was the guy that played the most snaps in the Buffalo game here, even though we end up losing. But he balled out, and he did what he was supposed to. And I think he's just an upcoming talent. And if Baltimore does not re-sign him, he's definitely going to go somewhere, and that's a guy that I'm going to be buying. So
Yeah, absolutely. And let me say this. And I give credit to Jimmy on Fantasy Feud. And if you guys listen to anything on the Dynasty DNA podcasting network, Jimmy is the host of the Fantasy Feud show, and he knows tight ends better than anybody. And he said Trey McBride will be tight end 1 in 2024. Now, let's be honest. Brock Bowers, we knew he was damn good. We said he was a generational talent. Did we think he was going to be tight end 1 his rookie season? That was tough. But, man, I'll tell you what, that guy is special. But I give credit to Big Jimbo, and you know how he is with tight ends, Wiz. If there's anyone that knows tight ends better than me, it's Big Jimbo. So I got to give him credit. I got to give him credit on that. He nailed that. But I love the tight end room there too, Dak. And you have Ben Sinnott as well. I mean, well, who knows? I doubt anything will come of it right away. Could just be a solid tight end 2 type of guy. But it is a body nonetheless that you have there, a younger guy as well. But let's hop into the trade talk. And, we're going to talk right off the bat here. I have a trade, and we're going to be talking with the fantasy CEO, as Wiz brings that up. Fantasy CEO. My first trade proposal here, Dak, is we talked about Tank Dell. Tank Dell is someone that, as a contender, I'm going to try to sell him. It's a very tough sell, but he is somebody, Wiz, that you know how this works. He enamors people. There's still people that believe in Tank Dell out there. Maybe this guy's one of them. I just want to kick some tires around and see what I can do, but could I sell Tank Dell to the fantasy CEO? In return, can I get Christian Kirk and Andre Yosifos? I'm going to tell you right now, I love this move, okay, for 2 reasons. Tank Dell's someone that this could entice him to make this move. Andre Yosifos is a guy right now that's not getting talked a lot about, Wiz. And when I do these roster reviews, I love to get ahead on this stuff, and this is kind of someone that's laying in the weeds a little bit right now. I like Andre Yoshivas a lot. I think that, I mean, look, it's a gamble. T. Higgins could re-sign in Cincinnati, and this could be a whole lot of nothing. But if T. Higgins moves out of Cincinnati, Andre Yoshivas has a nice little connection with Joe Burrow. And Wiz and I were talking pre-show. Could he be this year's kind of not Christian Kirk, he's involved in the trade, but could he be this year's Khalil Shakir? Wiz and I were talking about that. I could see him in a role like that, maybe a back-end wide receiver 2 type of guy, high-end wide receiver type 2 in a good offense in Cincinnati. I want pieces in a good offense. Look, this is a bad injury for Tank Dell. 2 seasons in a row, he has bad injuries, and he's a little guy. It seems like Stroud lost whatever rapport he had with him. He's definitely, Nico Collins is Stroud's guy. Do they bring Stephon Diggs back? Houston was an offense that kind of struggled a little bit this year. I do expect them to be better next year, but, I mean, how soon is he going to be on the field? This guy's a rebuilding team. I think he's down at the bottom, as far as his contending capabilities. So you give him a young piece like Tank Dell. And look, Christian Kirk's being written off for dead right now. And I mean, look, I know it's tough, but right now, as we speak, the Jaguars are hired that Liam Cohn, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator. So I kind of like him. I kind of like what he could maybe do with Christian Kirk. And let's be honest, Brian Thomas is the alpha in that Jacksonville offense. Everybody knows it. But Christian Kirk is somebody that's not a scrub, that's put up good numbers in this league. And if he stays healthy, and that's the key, you could really do something here. And Wiz, before I let you chime in, like this trade for me, I'm trading Tank Dell and getting Andre Yoshivas and Christian Kirk. It is a dart throw and a gamble, but we're trying to add to a wide receiver room that desperately needs help and depth, good solid depth. And I think that these guys could provide it. I mean, I think that it's a good gamble to take. Tank Dell's somebody I'm trying to move and get creative, and I think this is a creative move. And I don't think it'll blow up in my face as far as dynasty repercussions. How do you like this trade?
Yeah, I like this trade a lot. Tank Dell, I mean, kind of like you said, back-to-back bad injuries, like devastating injuries. And just overall, I mean, he just didn't do much this past season when he came back, when he was healthy. Even when Stephon Diggs went out with his ACL, still didn't do anything for the team, for fantasy-wise. I think he might have one good game, but you don't want to rely on one good game every week when you're setting your lineup in there, right? So I could see him being a roster clogger down in the future, kind of like Elijah Moore, but he kind of resurgence a little bit here this past year with Jameis Winston as quarterback. But overall, I mean, you're getting an upside guy with Christian Kirk and Andre Yoshivas, which Andre Yoshivas showed promise whenever T. Higgins was out this past season there. Will the Bengals roll with T. Higgins, bring him back? Or are they going to kind of let, Jermaine Burton, Charlie Jones, Andre Yoshivas figure out who's going to be the wide receiver 2 in that offense? I think it's definitely a good dart throw to make.
And if I'm a betting man, Cincinnati, seeing what happened to their team this year, how bad they were on defense, they're not going to be able to sign T. Higgins. I just think they'll look at it. And I think this is a good gamble to take. And Christian Kirk's a guy, if he can stay healthy, I have confidence in. But Wiz, you have kind of the centerpiece trade that we really like for Dak. Go ahead and go over that.
Yeah, so this is going to be with Fantasy CEO as well, which is, I mean, honestly, Dak, I was thinking about this when TJ was talking, but you could probably combo the trade that TJ and I just talked about with this trade that I'll be mentioning. But I'm talking about trading Rashee Rice and Dontavian Wicks, right? I mean, Rice, we kind of talked about in the beginning of the show. He tore his ACL and he has a suspension coming, right? That's going to be 10 games, best case scenario miss this season here. And I'd rather just get the points to get me in the playoffs instead of, trying to win the last week of the season with Rashee Rice finally back on the team, being able to play and be able to put in my lineup. And then hoping that it works out and I can make the playoffs. And this trade that we're doing, so Rashee Rice, Dontavian Wicks for Tyreek Hill, Alvin Kamara, and Jalen Wright. Tyreek Hill, I mean, he came off kind of a disappointing performance from where everyone was drafting him. I mean, he was wide receiver 8, 9 going into the season. I know I liked him a lot, and I gambled a lot on him and relied on him, and he disappointed me. I won a championship still with him on my team because you can't kick me down with just one bad player. You get to kill my whole team. But overall, I think he's going to have a good bounce back here. There's rumors he might leave the Dolphins, which if he leaves the Dolphins, he's going to go to a contending team. So I'm not worried about his landing spot. He's going to go somewhere where he could win. And that's been very clear with it. If he stays in Miami, it's going to be the same kind of offense, hopefully better season than what he performed this past year. And I think he just has tremendous upside. We've seen the ceiling, and now we've seen the floor of Tyreek Hill. And just as long as we get that ceiling play, I think it's wheels up for you. Alvin Kamara, just a steady Eddie kind of guy. I think he was RB. He finishes at RB2, like a high end. TJ, do you know?
Who's that?
Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara. Yeah, I think it was more, like 20-ish, something like that. I'll have to look. But, yeah, I love this trade, and Tyreek Hill's the main part of it, right? Like, Tyreek Hill's a guy that I was getting for a first and a second in a lot of leagues, and I did it with a smile on my face. Like, he really didn't help me much in the playoffs, but I don't care. Like, I have a couple really good rosters where I was able to add him, and I'm telling you right now, next year he'll be a lot better. There was rumors he had that wrist injury going on. I think a lot of people are writing him off, and I think you could get him for this, Dak. I really do. And like Wiz said, maybe you could combine these trades together, the two that we talked about here with Fantasy CEO. So I don't mind that at all. So if you can do something like that, I think that would be a good move for you. But I like that move. Kamara was actually running back 9 this year, Wiz, in Fantasy. So a little bit better than I expected. I know he missed, I think, a game or two, but still able to put up them numbers. He's still as reliable could be. And I like Jalen Wright in this move, too. I said that. Like, I'm not saying Jalen Wright's going to be great, but as a contending team, he is a player that can save your season. If you have a couple running backs go down, and I think Raheem Mostert's going to move on from Miami. I think he'll either retire or they're going to move on from him. And I think this will be Jalen Wright's spot behind Devon Achane. And we know how it is with Achane, Wiz. He is a guy that gets hurt. He just does. And if you have that guy, if you have Jalen Wright, maybe you could trade him to whoever has HN. That's another move you can make. You have the handcuff. And again, this could be a guy that could play a couple games and really help you out in a high-scoring, high-paced, friendly offense. I like that move. If we can make it happen, if we can put all those pieces together with the Fantasy CEO, I like that. But let's hop over here to my trade. It'll be the last trade we have here for you, Dak. It's going to be with Team Crane Bang. Team Crane Bang. Okay, so we're going to look at his roster. We're going to be trading him off our team, Calvin Ridley, Ricky Pearsall, in the 2025 310. So you have the 310 in 2025, and we're going to get in return Mike Evans and Ray Davis. And this is another move I really like, because if you offer up Ricky Pearsall and Calvin Ridley for Mike Evans, I think that gets it done. And these teams that we're targeting are kind of down here towards the bottom of the standings. Look, Mike Evans is getting old. I know that. He's like 31, 32 years old, but it doesn't matter. He ages like fine wine. This guy's amazing. Only missed a few games this season, but still was able to get 1,000 yards receiving. He's good for a touchdown a game, almost every game. And this is another nice thing to help solidify your wide receiver room here. And to me, that is a main priority. We got to solidify this wide receiver room. So, like, if we could come away with players like Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill and Andre Yoshafos and Christian Kirk, and we get them in the fold, it could really, really pay off here. And I don't mind giving up Ricky Pearsall as a contender. I like Ricky Pearsall, but like I said at the opening, he is a talented guy. I like the film, but it's going to be hard for him to do much right away in an offense that has the weapons they have. And Ray Davis, we talked about Jalen Wright. I love Ray Davis. I love the film on Ray Davis last year. I said he was going to be a solid back in the league. And I give big props to Andy. Andy said that as well. He was early in on Ray Davis. Looks great in that Buffalo offense. And having James Cook, you have the handcuff there. So that just gives you more running back depth, and that makes a ton of sense as a contender. We need all the running back depth we can get. and we need all the wide receiver help we can get to help strengthening that room of yours. Wiz, what do you think of that trade?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love it. Kind of going off with what you said in the Discord there, that people are hard to trade with in this league unless you overpay. And this is, to me, I think it's a little bit of an overpay here.
Yep.
Definitely, Crane Bang is getting a stronger side of the deal in the perspective. And so if you want to start it out a little bit lower, maybe take Calvin Ridley out and just send Ricky Pearsall on a third for Ray Davis and Mike Evans. I mean, see if it works. Just expect to pay more. Also, just kind of a side note, Derrick Henry's on his roster, so if he's trading off Mike Evans, maybe you could keep Calvin Ridley in there, throw in a pair of seconds to get Derrick Henry. I mean, I think it's worth a shot to see if you can get the king. I mean, he's the king. You got to get the king.
That's right. That's right. And I'm going to tell you right now, Dak, like Wiz said, I understand this is an overpay, but like sometimes in Dynasty, and that's the funny thing, we all sit here and say, like, I don't want to overpay. I don't want to overpay. But sometimes there's such things as bad overpays and there's such things as good overpays. Like, this is not outrageous, like to me. Like, I look at it like this. Mike Evans and Calvin Ridley have the same about window as far as when they're going to be done. It ain't going to be far off one another. So I'm not losing many years there. And then Ray Davis for Ricky Pearsall in a third. Like, okay, yeah, that kind of stings a little bit. But I really like getting him. I mean, since you have James Cook, it makes a ton of sense. So let's just say the Bills maybe move on from James Cook. Ray Davis is playing good football. Then you got the starting running back again for the Bills. And I like Ricky Pearsall. I do. But, like, to me, I just see a ceiling of a guy that's a wide receiver too. So if I had to overpay to win a championship for just a wide receiver too, I can live with that. And I'm getting a running back in return that's going to help my team, maybe turns into something, still a young guy. I mean, I just think this overpay makes sense. It's not outrageous by any means to me. Like, I hate those ones that are outrageous. Like, we're not doing that. Like, that's not going to happen. But, like, this just makes sense to me. Like, if everything's on the line and this is all that it takes for me to win a championship this year, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. That's all I'm going to say. But like Wiz said, you could always start a little bit cheaper. And I like to do that. I never like to give my best offer right away. Dynasty's a game of timing. Everything has to be planned. And if you have a plan, it works out. But, like, you could ease in and maybe offer that. And like Wiz said, maybe you can even upgrade the trade and get Derrick Henry in there. I mean, I don't mind trading that second-round pick either. And, you have a few thirds. You have a few seconds as far as 2025 and 2026 goes. I don't mind moving them. But, Wiz, I think you can agree with me. Under no circumstances, Dak, right now, as you sit here, I would not trade any of my 2027 or my 2028 picks. Do you agree with that, Wiz?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just a philosophy of mine in dynasties, I don't move picks 3 years out. It's just not good. You're basically taking a loan out from the bank that you're going to be paying interest for on the way back end, especially if you're trading for, like, the Joe Mixons, Derrick Henrys. Like, it might be worth it if you win the league, right? You win the championship, but then you're going to put your team back for a couple years just by doing that. It's hard to get, like, I understand the enticement of it. And if you could push out and extend, if you could contend and win championships back to back, then all means do that. But for me personally, I try not to trade it unless if I'm going to be winning championships back to back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you got to be very, very careful. And Dak's a sharp guy. He plays Dynasty. He's very active in the Discord. And you know how it is, Dak. If you have any questions on these trades, if you get any counter offers, please send it over because we will be glad to help. I mean, it might take us a few minutes to get back to you, but me and Wiz, I know you do, Wiz, so do I. We always get back to you. It might be, a handful of hours before we get that opportunity, but when we get that opportunity, we will respond and help you through this. But I'm telling you right now, I really like the team. I think you did a good job with it. Just be careful with the draft capital you do have. 2027's looking like a great class. We don't want to just give away those picks. And as far as your 2026 pick goes, when you win the championship this year, when we make some of these trades, when you win the championship to the guy that doesn't want to trade you that 2026 pick back, you just say, well, enjoy 112 because it's yours. 112, 2026 in a bad draft class. Enjoy it. Right, Wiz?
Yeah. Make sure you tell Durkin that. Like, Durkin, I don't care, dude. Get out of here.
That's right. That's right. That's how we do. But no, man, we appreciate the submission, Dak. We were glad we were able to help you last year. You know, I want to say this at the end of these videos, guys. Me and Wizz, we do these for free. We love to do them. We love to help you guys out. We have fun doing them. Me and Wizz throwing these trade ideas together. Look, it helps make us sharper, too. I mean, we find little idiosyncrasies in players that we know, like, oh, we never thought about this. And then sometimes iron sharpens iron. So we appreciate it. It's like 2:30 in the morning right now in Western Pennsylvania, and we're still burning the midnight oil. But all I'll say, guys, we're going to keep doing them for free. But join the Dynasty DNA Discord if you haven't yet. And I know Dak has, because he's a great guy, a big fan of the show, a good friend. But if anyone that's listening, if you haven't, go over to Dynasty DNA on Spotify, Apple Pod, Stitcher, Amazon, any of the big podcasting platforms. Follow and 5-star the show. That helps us out more than anything. We don't expect to charge anybody for this. We don't want to do that, but that helps us. It helps us grow and continue, and that means more than you know. Or tell a friend. I mean, that's great. We love to help people. Have someone join the Discord. I mean, it's a great community over there. But I'll let Wizz wrap it up because, you know, playing role reversal, I'm so used to being the host of everything. This is Wizz's series. Wizz, let you finish.
Yeah, thank you. You're just cucking me, dude. That's what it is.
Go ahead, wrap it up.
No, I mean, Dak, you know, thank you so much for the roster review, and thank you for being active in the Discord. I know I'm in a few leagues with you, and you're always just an easy guy to trade with and stuff like that. Sorry I had to leave the Madden Curse League. Just too many leagues, man. Too many leagues, Dak. What do you want from me? We're going to be auditing the orphan managers that took over my team, which he doesn't know yet. That's going to be a funny video coming here shortly, hopefully. A little bit after this one. But overall, I mean, guys, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you want your review, if you want your roster audited as well, join the Discord. You know, kind of like we already talked about before. Go check out the podcast. Go check out TJ on Twitter at FFTJBlakeDNA. And then while you're there, might as well check out me at DynastyWizFF. I don't really post on there that much. I haven't been active in a while. I'll tweet every now and again.
We got our hands full. We got our hands full in the Discord.
I got my hands full in Discord. I had to take a nice long walk to the gas station after Sunday night's loss. I had to cool down. I was a little heated. I was about to burn some jerseys, have a big bonfire. It was going to be great. But overall, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. And until the next video, see you later.
See you guys. Have a great weekend.